Hello and welcome to today's lesson. Now in today's lesson we'll be looking at working with cell reference. We'll be making use of relative reference and absolute reference in form of formulas. Now to begin, I'll first of all like to explain what a cell address is. Now a cell address is simply the address of the cell you are currently active on. Now most of the times we view the address of the cell we are currently active on in the name box. The name box carries the cell address of the cell we are currently active on. So for instance, if I click here on the name box, we can see that I am on cell address H4. While I click here, we can see that I am on cell address B2. So the name box usually shows the cell address of the cell we are currently active on. Now a cell reference is simply referencing a cell while making use of a formula. So I have this table here showing the products sold and their prices and their quantity in sales. Now I want to know the amount sold. So what I simply do is make use of the cell address to create a formula that will give me the price multiplied by the quantity to give me the amount. So we simply start every formula on Excel by typing in the equal to sign. So I'll bring in an equal to sign, and then I'll type in the cell address C5, then I'll multiply this by the value in cell address D5. When I'm done, I'll press the enter key and you see I have the amount. So what I'll simply do is to make use of the autofill option. That is when my mouse pointer changes from this white cross to a black cross here. It is called the autofill option. I drag down and here I am. I have the amount of these values. Now, this is simply called a relative reference. What is a relative reference? A relative reference is just the default reference. That is the reference we just made use of in this formula. So if I should click on formulas and click on show formula, you can see clearly that this formula is showing the cell address of the values in this place. So if I click on this, you can see that it shows relatively the two cells that are left to the amount section, the amount columns where I typed in the formula. So relative cells are the default references, and they are mostly used when we type the original formulas like you see me did. And Excel actually sees the location of the cell relative to the location of the formulas. So in this cell, it is in relative to the location of the formulas. As you can see, they are simply relative to the location of the formulas. Now I'll click on show formulas to take that out. Alright, now the next column here houses the commission. So you can see here we are told that the commission on this amount sold is simply 5%, which is the same as 0.05. So I'll simply come here where I want my answer to be, bring in my equal to sign. Now simply multiply the amount by the commission, and when I'm done, I'll press the enter key, and so I'll use the autofill handle to draw this down, and you can see that in other sections I'm having 0. Why is this? Why is this showing in this manner? This is because, let's show formulas and see what happens here. Now you can see here, instead of me having the cell address G2 in other cells, you can see that relatively the autofill handle automatically takes it to be a relative cell, to be a relative cell. So absolute cell makes use of a $sign. In that manner, it freezes this 0.05 and makes it reflect when I type in the formula for these other commissions. You get? So the absolute cell makes use of a $sign, and it comes either before or after the row, or even before and after the column. So if you don't want the row to change, if you don't want the column to change, you actually put a $sign in front of it. So let's get to this now. How do we correct this? Like I said before, what we want to do is to have cell address G2 here and not G3 As you can see, it shows here not G4, not G5, not G6, and not G7. And we can actually change it in this manner by clicking and just changing it. But then, is there a way that we can make G2 show automatically? That is what I just finished explaining. We can do that by adding a $sign in front of the row and in front of the column. So let's do that. So we come here, type in a $sign in the front of the row as well, type in the $sign. When we are done, we press the enter key. Now I'll click on show formulas to take this off. So I'll delete this, and now you can see here, show formulas. You can see that our formula has a $sign in the front of the column and in the front of the row. So I'll use the autofill handle to drag down, and you can now see that it automatically calculates for the commission on other amounts of the price of goods sold relative to the quantity. So this is how we make use of relative cell and absolute cell reference. Relative cell reference is the default cell. Absolute cell reference makes use of $sign. The last thing I want to show you is how to reference across different worksheets in the same workbook. Now this is actually important if you want to create one formula relative to another workbook or worksheet that references a value from another worksheet. So it's simply the same as a relative reference. All you just need to do is to add the name of the workbook alongside the cell address. So how we simply do this is this. Now let me get the total of the amount here. So I'll use the auto sum function, and I have the total of the amount and the total of the commission. Now I have a different data here in sheet 2, and what I want to simply do is to reference this total amount here. I want to reference this amount in the second sheet here. Now I have a data before me, so this is actually the totals from other months, and now I want to reference the total amount in this value here, and I want to reference that value here. So what we simply do is this: we look at the cell address of this current value, and this is in cell address E11. So we simply come here. Now what we do is to bring in the equal to sign, then we type in the cell address of that value. Now we can see that the cell reference in here has a space in between. So because the name of this worksheet has a space in between, we bring in the single quotation sign. Then we type in the name of the worksheet the way it is, cell referencing. Then we bring in the single quotation sign, and we'll put in an exclamation mark. Then we type in the cell address of the value we want to reference, which is E11. When we are done, we'll press the enter key, and you see that this value is now referenced here. Now we can simply get the total as well for the month of January till July, and we can do that by pressing the equal to sign. Using the sum function, we'll click on this, highlight, close parenthesis, and press the enter key. So this is the total, and this is how we actually reference a value. This is the referenced value. This is how we reference a value from a different worksheet. Now do not forget, if you have any question to ask, I'm always available. I'll see you in the next lesson, where we'll be looking at creating basic formulas in Excel. I'll see you in the next lesson.